Alright, guys, so yesterday was the season premiere of How I Met Your Mother, and this is my thoughts and reactions to that episode. So, first off, I gotta say that it wasn't awesome. I gotta admit, it wasn't awesome. It was okay. It was a great episode, just bringing us back to speed at what was happening right after last year's season finale of how, Quinn and Barney got engaged, and we find out that Robin is the bride to Barney, and that the kid that Marshall and Lily have is named Marvin, and yada yada yada. And we see that Ted and Victoria are supposedly together for that time being. Now, this episode was kind of disappointing because I really like the parts where Ted and Victoria are like trying to think up ways of how to put the letter inside the house to show that she's running away from Klaus. And then by the end of the episode, if you haven't still watched it, please don't watch this video. I'm going to talk about the whole episode. So, so he meets Klaus at the end, and then Klaus talks about how, Victoria was almost the perfect girl that he wanted to meet, but she wasn't the perfect girl. So he's like telling how, sometimes you have to wait for these things to happen. When it happens, you'll be happy, and so on and so forth. And I really like the chemistry between Ted and Victoria. I love their episodes in the past and how they kind of interacted. And this episode kind of reminds us of the past episodes where Victoria was present. And, we obviously know that she's not the mother, but it kind of feels like, they're trying to build on the whole experience as though I think that after this relationship, Ted's going to finally, start thinking about how the mother is going to play into the story and how he's going to bring the story to his kids. And, to be honest, I'm really pissed off at the fact that they keep on showing the yellow umbrella. Like, why do you still show the yellow umbrella? It's been 7 years, guys. Like, 7 years, you can at least show a face. I think that showing a face would not do any harm. Or at least having a voice, having some kind of voice or some kind of like handshake with Ted's character, at least interacting with Ted's character would be nice, But the thing is, when we always see this yellow umbrella, we're always like, oh my god, another tease. Why the hell are you teasing us? But, How I Met Your Mother is a great show because they take their time, but also at the same time, I think 7 years is a long time to talk about finding your mother, And some of the stories are kind of getting elongated, but I hope that they kind of fix the problem by the end of the season where they finally show something about the mother. Hopefully, something. And speaking of which, we go to Robin and Barney and Quinn's triangle, love story. Now, Robin and Barney, they broke up. Barney seems like he's forgotten Robin, and Robin is dating this guy called Nick. And in the episode, she's kind of like very, I wouldn't say jealous, but she's kind of like acting a bit weird with the whole fact that Quinn asked to be the bridesmaid. Quinn asked Lily and Robin to be the bridesmaids, and how Robin is feeling about that, and how Barney kind of showed that in that funny sequence how he like cut off his whole history with Robin, and how he was explaining to Quinn as to how he and Robin actually dated from before in the 52 seconds. That was pretty awesome sequence. And what I think was the weakest part in this whole episode was actually Lily and Marshall. I felt like Lily and Marshall, Jason Segel and Allison Hannigan, they kind of felt out of place in this episode. They're acting drowsy. They're, new parents. They're very tired and all. But for some reason, it didn't feel like, something that Marshall and Lily would do. Usually, I would think that they would have something funny to say. Throughout the episode, they're very silent and very, they kind of add in their voices only to be known that they're there, They feel like background characters in this episode. But I think that, at the second last episode last year, it was pretty much about how the kid's coming and, how everything's happening around them. I feel like their episodes will be more interesting as the season goes on. But I felt like, they were the weakest part for that episode. And, to talk about this season, I hope that we finally get to see something about the mother, Obviously, I said in the beginning of the video, I was kind of annoyed about the yellow umbrella. And I'll say it again, when you have such a popular series, you have to kind of build off some of the things that you've made the popularity, grow on. Everybody is so intrigued about who the mother can be. I remember online a lot of people are saying that they wanted Jennifer Aniston to be the mother. And even one of the writers I remember, I think they said that they liked the idea of having Jennifer Aniston as the mother. I hope that that's true. That would be awesome. Rachel being, not Rachel, sorry. What was her character on Friends? I forgot her character on Friends, but yeah, being her, being in How I Met Your Mother, where How I Met Your Mother is pretty much kind of like Friends in a bit, and it'll be awesome to see her as the mother. Maybe other actresses as well. I think that Natalie Portman would be a nice mother. I think she would fit into the role well. Or maybe, let's say, a wild guess, maybe a little older person. Maybe even Shannon Elizabeth, Allison Hannigan's co-star from American Pie. I don't know why, but I think she would play a good mother. Well, not really play a good mother, but like you know what I mean. But yeah, a lot of actresses could be in the role, and I hope that they finally show something about, the character. At least, to make the kids in the episodes, at least intrigued about what their mother would be like and how she was in the past. And I think that, the season is mostly going to be about how Barney and Robin finally get together and finally go to the path where they're actually going to get married. I think that one thing that was disappointing for me is that at the ending of the episode, we don't actually see why Ted and Victoria eventually don't become a couple. I think that it is nice to see their story a little bit more longer, maybe see her for a couple more episodes, but it's kind of like getting to the point where every time something is gonna happen, it doesn't happen, And I feel like instead of showing a couple more episodes with Victoria, at least show like scenes with the mother being blocked off in some sort of way with Ted. I feel like we need to see more of the mother. The show last year felt like it was more about Barney and Robin and Marshall and Lily, and Ted was kind of in the background. I don't know. I felt that was the way the last season worked out. I hope this season there's more stuff about Ted. I feel like Ted is pretty much the character of the whole show. This is his story, right? So I hope that they don't neglect his search for the mother. I hope he gets more screen time this year. I love Ted Radner. He's a great actor. I mean, Josh Radner, sorry. He's a great actor. I think he's very underrated. His 2 movies that came out, the ones that he directed, are very good movies. I suggest you go watch them. And so, yeah, I hope that, they solve those problems. And more on the story. I think that this year would be an interesting year for Barney. I think that, a lot has been going on. These rumors are saying that, Neil Patrick Harris and Jason Segel and Josh Radner want to leave this show because they feel like the show is kind of going to a point where it's getting repetitive and very boring. Even though those are rumors and they deny those rumors saying that they love the show and they still want to keep it going, I feel like there is a point in the rumor because like, why is the show keep on, why are they keep on doing these like old gags and kind of like repeating these old stories again and again, Why don't we just go straight forward and, cut to the chase, go to the point where we actually see some things happening, I feel like that is one of the main things that kind of gets on the nerves of a lot of How I Met Your Mother fans. I think that, they're a very strong group. We're a very strong group of fans, but the problem is, we don't get to see as much as like other shows when it comes to like spoilers or something like that. But, the story is an ongoing story, and he said in the first ever episode, this is a long story, so, sit back and relax. So, hopefully we get to see something else in the future. Anything else that I have to say? Maybe, I'm kind of interested in how Nick and Robin's story would be. I hope that Lily and Marshall's, stress and all the sleep that they don't get. I hope that's not going to be an ongoing thing this season. I feel like it's kind of hindering on their performances. They're really great actors, Jason Segel and Allison Hannigan. I think they're in the beginning seasons and even in the recent seasons, they're pretty much 2 characters that actually could save episodes. I feel like I hope that they don't act the same way in the next 3 episodes, but who knows? Maybe they will, maybe they won't. And yeah, so that's the season premiere pretty much. Ted and Victoria are still together for the time being. Robin and Nick are now a couple, and Barney and Quinn seemingly are back together. Like, she was mad, but she's pretty much back together and she's not, angry or anything like that. But yeah, I think that in the next few episodes we get to see the fallout between her and Quinn. I mean, her and Barney. So I kind of want to expect that to happen, but who knows what will happen. And so yeah, that was How I Met Your Mother season premiere. I hope that this year we finally get to see something about the mother. I hope we actually see some future scenes. I think that now that we're starting to be more closer to the years that they're talking about, I hope that they're actually like going to the future and kind of saying, hey, remember this time that something happened, and we actually see some like progress in everyone's story. So guys, there it is. There's the whole story about How I Met Your Mother's season premiere. This is my reaction. That's my thoughts. Please subscribe, like my video, and add my channel. So I hope you guys enjoy the season, and I'm probably going to enjoy the season as well. And tell me what you thought about the season premiere. I was kind of disappointed a bit, but it had some good moments. Talk about it. The comment section is right below. So there you are, guys, and I'll see you guys later. And the 1001 videos will be continuing on after this one. So see you later, guys.